Linn-Mar Board of Directors annual meeting will be called to order at 5 p.m. in the boardroom of the Learning Resource Center. Can you please take roll to determine a quorum?
Buckles?
Here.
Maury?
Here.
Nelson?
Here.
Rollinger? Here. Walker?
Here.
Wall?
Here.
Weaver? Here.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Clark and a second by Sandra. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? At this time, we will open a public hearing. Public hearing will be held regarding the proposed issuance of approximately $33 million in school infrastructure, sales, service, and use tax revenue bonds for the use in the construction and furnishing of the new Performance Arts Center. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to speak during this public session? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you. Thank you for coming if you're in the audience, and good evening to our board of directors. I want to congratulate our team of directors tonight for being the recipients of the Iowa Association of School Boards annual Team Achievement Award. There's also several individual achievement awards that have been handed out recently. So how are these awards obtained? These awards are given to honor a school board's dedication to continued professional growth and development. The Individual Achievement Award recognizes board members who have earned a minimum of 15 hours of professional learning over the course of the year. The Team Achievement Award recognizes the full board when a majority of its members have earned the Individual Achievement Awards. And tonight, as you entered, you may have noticed there's a plaque back there. We were at the Iowa Association of School Boards, thank you, Tom, convention last week where our board was presented with this annual achievement. So quite the honor for our board. And afterwards, we'd like the full board to stay to have our picture, or your picture, taken with the plaque. And then as far as our individual achievement awards, each of our board members who earned that this year also received individual certificates. And I'd like to recognize Barry Buckholz, Britannia Morey, Sandra Nelson, Matt Rollinger, Rachel Wall, and Clark Weaver for those individual achievements. So let's give everybody a round of applause.
Thank you. Moving on to informational reports. First up, the Finance Audit Committee report. Barry or Clark, do you have anything to share?
Clark, you take this one, buddy.
You'll regret later.
Haven't you learned?
One of the things that showed up for me was I appreciated getting all the information about the lawyers and what they do and how they do it for our district, as well as their background with other districts, which I think gives support to who we choose, and that will be tonight. The thing is I think all of us kind of contact our legislators. Jonathan produced some handouts for 19, 25, 26, and for our teachers at 2.5. And I don't think that's going to be enough for our teachers. Our teachers deserve more than that. I'm sorry to get a little political. I apologize to the audience. But if we have a $3 billion surplus, why can't we spend more money on education? It doesn't make sense to have all this money and say, yippee, we've got $3 billion and then not use it where it can be used. So I hope that 2.5, Jonathan, I hope you have to change this in the future. And let's see. I know our audit is 95% complete, but between that and the auditor, it'll get done. That's important, and I'm sure I have something else here. So it's just that one of those things, and I'll bring this up again. This is for the audience because Jonathan told us about Pebble, and the board knows about it. But this is one thing that does not raise your taxes, but it's so crucial to our district for quite I know you can count on 2 votes because my wife's here, so we're going to vote on that too. And I don't even have to twist her arm. There you go.
Thank you.
Okay, Clark, I appreciate your comments. And as we talk about, and this is kind of throwing shade to another school district in our area, but they obviously didn't have the PEPAL vote. They obviously didn't have the maintenance. And it's showing through now, and their buildings are dilapidated. And so basically how important it is, not any different than your home and my home, to have a schedule, whether it's your water heater, whether it's your roof, siding, whatever it is. And we've been very, very fortunate, even coming through the derecho, that the insurance covered a majority, but there was still stuff that we had to cover. And if we wouldn't have had those PEPAL dollars, it would have been pretty tough to come through on that. And then the second thing, Clark, you talked about the school board convention. I talked to, needless to say, when you spend 2 days in Des Moines with every school district in the state, you get to talking about money. You get to talking about growth and allowable growth. And it's just real critical. You know, we sat in on some sessions with our lobbyists. We sat in on some sessions with the leaders of our UEN group, which is the largest districts in the state. And every one of them, every one of us knows how critical it is to get something. You know, the 2.5, the 3.5, really doesn't, as we all know, doesn't keep up with inflation. So we really need to keep moving forward on that. And if anybody knows any legislators, that's going to be our job moving forward too, is we're always rubbing shoulders with the legislators. We're always talking to them. Through this last election, we were able to contact, or a number of legislators stepped it up, and they came to us and they asked us numerous times, what do you want? What can we do for you? Well, it's pretty simple. You know, there's 2 things. It's allowable growth, and it's our special ed deficit, which we're getting tired of talking about. But I heard that pretty loud and clear down in Des Moines as well. So we had a tremendous finance meeting. We have a lot of things to do in the next 3 to 6 months. And we're just proud and happy to have Jonathan here to help us. And we know we're going to get through it. So.
You guys covered it. I don't have anything to add. Any questions? Further discussion? Okay. Next up, Marion City Council. Melissa?
I did not have an opportunity to attend that, so I will have to report on that at the next meeting.
I had the ability to go to the DEI committee meeting in November, and the committee approved some updates to their bylaws. They elected their new slate of officers, and then they went over the Iowa school report card data. So they wanted to better understand how in addition to the overall district-wide data, how, as the data is broken into different groups, how that might relate to diversity, equity. So they had a really nice discussion about that. And then they broke into their subcommittees to do follow-up steps on their 3 areas. So I sat in on one of the discussions around more equitable solutions to the learning environment. So some good discussion came out of looking at those, at the data and of the subcommittee meetings, and they came back and said that they're working on their next steps. So each subcommittee is going to make recommendations to the full committee, which will then, I think, become recommendations that come to the board. So, but they're having good conversation, and looks like they're moving in a good direction. Questions? I can look at my notes, but okay. Amy, your update?
Yeah, I've got several updates tonight, so please bear with me. It's been a while since we've last met, but I want to recognize our students and staff and parents. Compass Honors, congratulations to the Compass students who were recipients of the 49 academic awards given during the first quarter academic awards celebration. Athletic honors, we had 12 students, student athletes do signing of letters of intent on November 8th. Congratulations there. Our girls swimming and diving team qualified for the state meet during the last few weeks. We've had all state Music honors, the district had 88 student musicians audition for the All-State Music, and 54 were selected, along with 5 alternates. Venture Academics Honor, we also recognize that program for being mentioned in the Iowa Authentic Learning Network newsletter. Middle and high school band honors, congratulations to the 35 Linn-Mar musicians, including 8 students from Excelsior, 10 from Oak Ridge, and 17 from the high school. They've been selected to participate in the annual Northeast Iowa Bandmasters Association on December 2nd. Other honors are choir. Congratulations to the 25 Linn-Mar Intermediate Middle School and High School vocalists selected by the Iowa Choral Directors Association to be part of the 2023 Opus Honor Choir. Some drama honors. Congratulations to the Linn-Mar freshman drama students who did a great job presenting the dining room. And then we've had some esports honors lately, and congratulations to both the Rainbow Six Siege and Super Smash Brothers esports teams for making it to the student championship. So I know our kids continue to excel, and hopefully I'm not missing groups. I'm sure I am, as talented as our group of students are, but I wanted to highlight a few of those groups and honors.
We see somewhere on social media that the Super Smash Brothers team are state champions.
Okay, we've got an update, state champions. That's wonderful. We've had a teacher be honored in the last few weeks. Congratulations to Jessica Dunnick, Bowman Woods music teacher, for receiving the University of Northern Iowa Dr. Robert E. and Phyllis M. Yeager Exemplary Teaching Recognition Award. So congratulations to her. And then just an amazing kind of statistic here. Linn-Mar Booster Club, thanks goes out to that group and to our parents and community members for donating over $164,000 last year to student programs during the 22-23 school year. So I'll kind of segue. We enjoyed professional development during the end of October. We had a day and a half, and just a few things that our teachers were working on. I think it's important for the community and the audience and our board to know, but our elementary schools, topics varied from mathematics to student collaboration, progress monitoring, letters training. Highlights from some of our secondary schools include examination of the conditions for learning survey and identifying action steps from there, subject area standards, illustrative math, and so on. I attended several meetings. SAI, that would be the School Administrators of Iowa Executive Leaders Meeting, Linn-Mar School Foundation, City Manager and Superintendent of Marion meeting, Rotary, and so on and so forth. One commitment I've made over the last couple weeks into leading up to winter break is to visit each of our attendance centers. So I've started to do that, and it's just really nice to have a one-on-one conversation with our building principals and then spend a little bit of time touring the buildings and hearing all the great things that are happening there. A lot of school board related activities with the Finance and Audit Committee meeting that Clark and Barry just spoke about. IASB last week was really good, especially to get our new folks, our new school board members there to interact and get preparing for onboarding with our new members as well. Facilities related then, and then I'll stop tonight. John and I have participated in a lot of meetings with OPN over the last few weeks, and they're related to things from final touches on the blueprints for the performance venue, to benchmarking of furnishings for the new admin building, to talking really to OPN about the scope of the work regarding the repurpose of the LRC and then the high school activity center. So those conversations still remain very high level. We're excited to be continuing to talk to the board tonight about the performance venue. Of course, you see that on the agenda. Stadium parking lot expansion, we're waiting on permanent light fixtures, anticipated delivery and installation soon. LRC repurpose and high school activities I just covered. Tennis courts, wind screens are scheduled to be installed, I think this week. They were gonna check them, make sure they were measured right. We're gonna put them away for the winter, and then they'll be back out for the season. And we've decided to wait to do our ribbon cutting ceremony until the springtime ahead of hopefully the first meet. So we'll have a good crowd, we hope. And then the admin building, finally, there continues to be work. It's fun to drive by as we continue to see progress there. Phase 1 of the window blocking, roof blocking is complete, exterior framing and sheathing, weather barriers on phase 1 is complete, and so on and so forth. we're looking forward to a little bit of a break here coming up this week, and then in full swing until winter break.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Amy? Okay, I will turn it over to Jonathan for the canvass of the votes.
Yeah, I received the abstract of votes last Friday in the mail for the election that was held on November 7th. And here is what those results were, and these are in alphabetical order. Barry J. Buckholtz received 4,639 votes. Justin Foss received 4,547 votes. Katie Lau Lancaster received 4,598 votes. Tom Law received 2,974 votes. Britannia Mori received 4,280 votes. Kevin Slayman received 3,144 votes. Laura Stefik received 3,307 votes. And Jody Treharn, I apologize if that is not the correct pronunciation, received 3,005 votes for a total of 30,494 votes. So the county therefore declares Barry J. Buckholtz, Justin Foss, Katie Lowe Lancaster, and Britannia Mori duly elected for the office of the Linn-Mar Community School District Director at Large for the term of 4 years.
Right. Moving on to unfinished business, unless anyone had any questions for Jonathan on that.
Make a motion to approve the resolution regarding the proposal issuance of approximately $33 million school infrastructure sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds for use in the construction and furnishing of the new Performance Arts Center.
Second.
A motion by Sonder and a second by Clark. Any discussion?
We just have got a couple of questions on this. We just have a little explanation of where these dollars came from, how that all happens, and what this actually is. I think there was a little bit of confusion on, sometimes you see the word bond, people take a step back a little bit. So if we could get a little bit of a explanation.
It's not a bond issue, and I'll let Jonathan clear up the rest.
Yeah, so this is sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds. So that revenue comes from our sales fund. So really is what we're doing there is we're bonding against future revenues that are part of the 1 cent sales tax across the state.
That's perfectly fine, yes.
Okay.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah, the word bond can be confusing. It's not a bond issue, it's bonds borrowed against. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Take a roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Rollier,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Wall,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
I have a motion to approve the substantial completion of the district tennis courts.
Motion
Move
to approve.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve the substantial completion of the district tennis courts project and issue final payment for a total of $84,839.08.
Second.
Motion by Melissa and a second by Sandra. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to approve the substantial completion of the Oak Ridge Middle School roof replacement project and issue final payment for a total of $30,141.12 to Foreshore Roof and Sheet Metal LLC.
Second.
Motion by Melissa and a second by Clark. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I move to approve the second reading of the policy recommendations as presented in Exhibit 604.1.
Second.
Motion by Barry and a second by Melissa. Any discussion?
I have a point of order. I don't think we can discuss and adopt this policy without violating policy. Excuse me. Our policy 203.2 says that we have to have public comment prior to the final adoption vote, and it needs to be done at the same meeting. So I think the issue is the way that we have our public comments set up. It doesn't allow that to happen.
Which policy are you referring to?
203.2, I've got it here if you'd want me to read it.
I can pull it up. That's fine, thanks.
First reading was at our last meeting. And then we had public comment at the end of that meeting. So would that, but it has to be at the same meeting is what our policy
You have to have
says?
a reading at both. We have to have public comments at both meetings prior to the vote, of the final vote of the second reading.
You don't want to know.
Are we able to modify our agenda to move this to the end of the agenda? Order of the agenda.
You can table it, but I'm still reading. There's also a policy that says we don't have to offer audience communication at every meeting, but we choose to. So those would be contradictory policies.
We don't have to, if we weren't passing policy at that meeting.
Can I clarify the question? So the thoughts are that there needs to be public comments before we pass?
Before the final vote, yes.
We would recommend that we table this vote until the end of the meeting.
Whoever made the motion has to, am I right on that? They have to modify that, or do we have to make a motion to do that? I'd be happy to make that
Okay,
motion.
you can make that motion.
Make the motion. At the end of the, that's correct. I'm good with that, so.
We're changing the agenda?
We're just going to table it and vote it at the end, which we can do. Yes.
I'm not sure that we can, because the public sign up to discuss is already done.
I'm going to hand that back and we'll just, I mean, is anyone opposed to putting public comment back out for 15 minutes?
We need to follow our policy
Okay.
for putting policy in. I move to table.
I think we would be passing our policy, or following our policy, if we provide public comment and then vote after public comment. That would be in compliance with our policy.
I'm fairly certain this policy was put in place for legal reasons, as it's been in place since 1970. I don't see the harm in tabling this policy until the next meeting and having our agenda set to do it properly.
Okay, and that's all good. Can I ask a question? Can I ask what the question is in the policy that is going to bring public comment in?
I don't understand your question.
Well,
Why are we holding up? Why are we waiting for more comment? We've already had it.
Because we have a policy that's written that says we need to do it this way. And we're going to create another policy. If we're not following our policy, if we're not going to follow this policy, why would we follow any policy, is kind of my point.
I think we're saying that we have the opportunity to follow the policy tonight by tabling it, providing an opportunity for public comment, and then voting on the policy at the end after public comment.
You can read the policy for yourself. I don't see it that way.
okay, so I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with tabling it for tonight and bringing it back at the next meeting. However, we're going to be in the same position that we are tonight. Because if we have public comment at the end of the meeting, it's going to be exactly where we're at tonight.
Well, we could change our agenda to move public, this is just a suggestion, we can move our public comment before, or we could have a separate public comment section before the policy reading, much like we did with the public, at the
Hearing?
beginning of the meeting there.
There's currently a motion on the table to table it till the end of the agenda. That has not been seconded.
I guess my opinion tonight, right now, I don't think we need to hash it out anymore. I'm going to amend my vote, my opinion, and amend that to table it until the next meeting.
For a second to table it to the next meeting.
How is that going to change the outcome? What are you going to do different to make sure that there is discussion beforehand then? Otherwise, we're going to be in the same vote. Suppose that's
That's
something
a-
to consider.
I think that's a decision for the leadership team when they set the next agenda, and then they can make a recommendation going forward to the board.
Policy team to look at the policy and see if that needs to be updated.
So there is a motion on the table and a second. Motion from Barry, second by Matt, to table this until the next meeting, which would be in December. We'll call a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I oppose.
Motion fails.
Which brings it back to the situation.
Brings it back to my
We also
point of
had
order.
a motion on the table to table it till the end of the meeting that we haven't voted on yet.
I'm bringing back my point of order, which the president should decide on if my point is valid. If so, that is your sole discretion to make that. If what I'm reading in policy says it is what it is, then you can take that point of order and remove this section from the agenda for tonight. Rule on my point of order, I guess is what I'm saying.
I agree with your point of order that the policy states the proposed policy changes will be distributed and public comment will be allowed at both meetings prior to the final board action.
You have a motion on the table to approve this, and you have a second. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Right
To
now-
table it to the end of the meeting.
Well, we don't have that motion anymore because Barry amended his motion. So currently, we have no motion on the floor.
Okay, so motion to table this until the end of the meeting.
Now I have a motion by Melissa and a second by Rachel to table this until the end of the meeting, which would follow audience communication, which would follow the spirit of the policy in allowing public comment to take place prior to both policy votes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, further discussion.
Like I said before, I believe this policy was put in place for legal reasons, and I think we should, the business of the district won't stop for pushing this off until next month. I believe there's legal reasons to have this done, and I believe it would be in our best interest to err on the side of caution to move this to next month's meeting.
Any other comments? All those in favor of tabling the reading until after audience communication this evening?
Oh, we already voted that, didn't we?
But he called for discussion, so now the vote has to happen after the discussion.
Gotcha.
So all those in favor of tabling until after audience communication?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries. It will be moved to the end of the meeting. Yes, can you please put the sign back up? We'll leave it up until, what is it,
15 more minutes.
55. Moving on to new business.
Make a motion to set a public hearing regarding the 2024-25, 2025-26 school calendar for December 11th, 2023 at 5 p.m. in the boardroom right here.
Second.
Motion by Barry and a second by Sandra. Any discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Make a motion to approve open enrollment request as presented.
Second.
Motion by Clark and a second by Sandra. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Melissa and a second by Rachel. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Brings us to board communications calendar. I want to remind everyone we have our visit to the high school on November 30th at 8 a.m. That is an early one, so don't show up at 11:30 like we normally do. Venture Academics Advisory is coming up on November 30th.
That'll be me, because Sandra will not.
Maybe.
I may
Maybe
show
it'll still
up,
be
what
you.
the heck,
Yeah.
right?
I'd love to have you.
I won't know not
It's a fun group.
not to show up, right?
So, given that the next board meeting isn't until December 11th, if I could have a volunteer to go to the December 7th Marion City Council meeting from anyone but Clark and Sandra?
Barry.
And if someone wants to already volunteer for December 21st to Marion City Council? Or we, thank you, Matt. Are there anything else anyone wants to share during board communications?
One of the board goals that we have identified is professional learning for the board specific to curriculum. And just wanted to make a request for us to get some, have an opportunity to speak with our curriculum directors about that so that we can identify big picture, what curriculum we're using, what the needs might be that they're hearing and seeing, what gaps there might be in areas of curriculum across the district, for us to engage in some conversation on that.
Probably the question is, I appreciate that, is do we have them on our agenda in the near future?
I don't know that we do, so we will look into that.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Anything else under communications? I know it hasn't been 15 minutes, so I'm just going to go ahead and say if there's anyone in the audience that would still like to sign up for audience communication, please do so now before I collect the signatures and invite you to the podium. Seeing none. All right. At this time, I will call up those who have signed up to speak in the order in which you have signed up. You will have, the board will receive and acknowledge comments but will not engage in a dialogue with the speaker because of the set agenda for the meeting. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes per speaker and should be shared in a respectful manner. Sarah Scott.
Hi, I'm Sarah Scott. I'm here tonight to talk as a Linn-Mar parent. I just wanted to extend my sincerest congratulations to our newly elected and re-elected board members. Britt, thank you for your continued leadership on the board. Your knowledge of the issues and your ability to communicate that information to our community is an incredible asset to our district. At the beginning of the year, I had the privilege of hearing you speak to Linn-Mar staff, and in that speech you said you picked Linn-Mar for your own child and you would pick Linn-Mar again and again. This demonstrates your intention of improving Linn-Mar and your dedication to our schools. So thank you for your willingness to continue to serve our district. Barry, your love for this district is apparent to anyone who listens to you in these meetings. You always act in the best interest of our district and you speak to what you believe is right. I respect that and I'm thankful that we will continue to have that perspective on the board. Katie, your openness and willingness to listen to others will be invaluable as we move forward in our district. You make people feel heard, which is not easy. It's really a remarkable accomplishment. So thank you for bringing your thoughtfulness to serve our students. Justin, the night of the election, before any results were in, I heard you say that no matter what happened that night, you would wake up in the morning and send your kids to Linn-Mar because it was an amazing place. You said you would continue to work for our district no matter what happened. This is the leadership that we need. The four of you are the right people for the job. There will never be a time that we need to question your intentions for being here. It's clear why you're here. And finally, to Clark and Sandra, thank you for the years that you've spent nurturing and growing our district. You have led during difficult times with a steadfastness that is a model for all of us. You individually have impacted so many throughout your careers and service. It's apparent when you look around here tonight, so thank you.
Thank you.
Tiffany DeBow.
Hello, I am Tiffany DeBow, mother of 2 students in the district. First, I would like to take a second to read Iowa Code 21.4, open meetings law regarding public notice. Except as provided, a government body shall give notice of the time, date, and place of a meeting, including a reconvened meeting of the governmental body and a tentative agenda of the meeting in a manner reasonably calculated to apprise the public of that information. I don't think moving your vote to after public comments is violating any sort of laws, so kudos for actually doing that and getting it done tonight instead of making people wait another month on that. Second, I wanted to say, teacher and astronaut Krista McAuliffe, who was tragically lost in the Challenger explosion, stated, "I touch the future, I teach." Clark and Sandra, through your decades of service to Linn-Mar, in numerous capacities, you've touched so many individual futures and our society and community's collective futures. After decades in the classroom, instead of just enjoying your retirement, you both decided to step up and volunteer to serve our community in another way. As a mother of 2 Linn-Mar students who has not known you as teachers, but have watched you work through the board the past few years during unprecedented times, probably not what you were signing up for when you did it. I thank you for your experience and expertise that you brought to your roles, for the care you took, and your willingness to do this work, to listen and try to find a way through what was weeds upon weeds upon weeds. So thank you for doing that and showing your leadership with that. I wish you both the very best in this next chapter in your lives. Enjoy that retirement. And also congratulations to Britton Berry on being reelected. And welcome to Justin and Katie later. We are excited to see what the 4 of you do on the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sherry Crandall.
The weed shirt.
You made him speechless.
I just retired, and I can't imagine sitting on the board and giving all the time that I don't have time to do all the fun things I want to do now. I can't imagine serving on the board. So thank you for jumping right from your retirement into education. I'm here to say thanks to Sandra and Weave. Cheers. Thank you for your dedication to education for years and years. For all that you've given to Linn-Mar and all that other stuff, the words thank you really aren't enough. Sandra, thank you for supporting teachers and all that you did. However, Clark will be my focus as he's a fellow high school kid. We've 3 minutes to honor you is way too little for such a king, but I will make it work before the timer does ding. You were my mentor for years and years, and now a lifelong friend. Finally, time for you to retire and bring this phase of life to an end. You wear your heart on your sleeve, and you bleed red and black. Even tonight, you fought for teachers, giving the support they often lack. You can never be replaced, and you're one of a kind. Your dedication and time to Linn-Mar will be forever in our minds. Thank you for all you've done for Linn-Mar and teachers. I know this from my own kids, but every child that you touched, you're there for life. You deserve a million thanks. Love you, Weave. Happy birthday.
Vanessa Reno.
She's speechless.
Okay. Elizabeth Essling.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Essling, a parent of 2 children in the Linn-Mar School District. My mini-me, I guess, is following me today. I'm here as a parent and as a member of the Marion Alliance for Racial Equity, or MAR. On November 13th, MAR submitted the following letter to the Marion Independent and Linn-Mar superintendents and school board members. Greetings from the Marion Alliance for Racial Equity. We are writing to encourage you to reach out to educators in your districts to ensure that activities and curriculum about Thanksgiving are culturally sensitive and accurate. We appreciate how you have engaged with us since our founding in 2020. However, we have not yet had a conversation with you about the ways that students are taught about indigeneity in school. For example, we recently looked and were not able to find official policy, curricula, or guidance that may have been offered to school staff about Native American Heritage Month or Thanksgiving. While we trust that you and your teachers and staff think carefully about how you recognize significant U.S. holidays like Thanksgiving, we also recognize that many educators are not fully aware of how past practices might be inaccurate or offensive. If you have not already, we urge you to share guidance with educators as soon as possible so that our students might experience culturally sensitive and historically appropriate information about how the Thanksgiving holiday originated and how it has been experienced by Indigenous peoples in the United States. We then provided some web-based resources that we found to be especially helpful and explained, quote, "It is our hope that these resources support educators who address indigeneity at the time leading up to and after the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday. It is important to recognize that not all teachers and staff celebrate Thanksgiving. However, for those who do, our message is a gesture of support and appreciation. We believe that acknowledging cultural celebrations like Thanksgiving can help create more inclusive and welcoming environment for students when delivered with culturally sensitive and accuracy in mind. We would like for the school board and the community to know that since we sent the letter, we have heard from Superintendent Kortmeyer, who has asked to set up a meeting with our MAR co-lead, who serves as a district's DEI committee. We also have 2 other members on the DEI committee who would be pleased to join the conversation. Thank you for your consideration."
Joe Stutler.
Good evening, Joe Stutler, resident of the district and, all around rabble-rouser. Got some Thanksgiving thoughts, this being Thanksgiving month. So thank you, Linn-Mar District, for celebrating Veterans and Military Families Month. I saw a lot of posts on Facebook of all the activities going on in the schools. Very nice. That's a wonderful thing, because freedom isn't free and patriotism is about more than just having skycloths in classrooms. Greatly appreciated. Thank you, Clark and Sandra. Your service to our community and to our future, to our children, is greatly appreciated. Thank you to the newly elected and re-elected board members for running. Your commitment to our kids and our community is also greatly appreciated. Thanks to the minivan Taliban, or Planned Parenthood, I guess they'd like to be called, for helping our community know who to vote for in this past election. If you want to know who's against public schools in your community, just look around. You'll see signs. We heard you loud and clear. The vote showed it, too. And thank you to Shouty Man here for showing us all that just what we'd end up with had we voted in more inept religious zealots onto our public school board. We've got a great team coming in. I'm looking forward to seeing great things in the future. Congratulations. Now let's go Lions.
Midhat Mansour.
We come bearing gifts today. I'm going to read a letter from Marion Alliance for Racial Equity's Education Subcommittee. Dear Linn-Mar Superintendent Kortmeyer and school board members, we write to you in appreciation of your commitment to equitable educational outcomes for our students and our willingness to serve our community, and your willingness to serve our community. We also celebrate the resilience of our community in prioritizing students in our public schools over political discord. In recent times, we have witnessed concerted efforts aimed at undermining the very essence of public education. However, during these challenges, our parents, community members, and voters rally together, advocating steadfastly to maintain our unwavering focus on the well-being and success of all our students. It is in this unified commitment that we find true purpose that will continue to strengthen our district. First, we extend our heartfelt congratulations to the newly elected school board members, Justin Foss and Katie Lau Lancaster. Your unique perspectives and fresh outlooks promise new dimensions to our collective pursuit of equitable and exceptional education for all. Your decision to step into this crucial role during these trying times speak volumes about your commitment to our community, students, staff, and parents. To our returning and re-elected board members, Barry and Britannia, we want to express our deep gratitude for your continued dedication and leadership. Your experience and perseverance have been instrumental in upholding our community commitment to equitable education, even in the face of increasing adversity. Most importantly, we want to pay tribute to our exemplary service of our retiring board members, Clark Weaver and Sandra Nelson. Your legacy of wisdom, compassion, patience, and tireless advocacy for equitable opportunities for every student will forever resonate within our Linn-Mar district. Your contributions and service have been invaluable, inspiring us to all uphold legacies in truly caring about our children and community. In summary, we urge our entire school board and administrative team to continue working collaboratively, transcending challenges, and championing an education future where every student can grow. Your leadership is pivotal in shaping not just the academic futures of our students, but also the fabric of our community. Thank you for your ongoing commitment to our district. Marion Alliance for Racial Equity Education Subcommittee. We have these flowers for Clark and Sandra with badges. This one says, "In Weave we trust." And Sandra says, "I touch the future." So they're in here for you guys.
Does anyone object to them approaching the table?
Come on across.
No, that's
Come on up.
fine. Just
Ready?
Do it.
Thank you. That's nice.
Thank you so very, very much.
That ends audience communication. I want to thank everyone for coming and speaking tonight. So now we go back.
I'll make another motion.
The fun stuff.
Make another motion.
Move to approve the second reading of policy recommendations as presented in Exhibit 604.1.
Second?
Motion by Barry and a second by Melissa. Any further discussion on the second reading of policy?
I would like to have a little bit of discussion on the social media policy. Looking for the number here, I apologize.
205.5? 205.5?
5.5, I'll take your word for it there. I agree that this board needs a policy, a social media policy. I think it's desperately needed. I did send, and I think Amy forwarded some communication on from Siobhan at IASB on some questions that I had. And I think with the reply to that, the one in particular where she said, you know, this is basically a rough framework, but this board needs to discuss what all of this stuff really means. And so we're on the same page on what it means and really make it Linn-Mar, so it's relative to what we're saying and what we're doing. I believe that policy in particular should have substantial time put into it by us as a group of the board, and with our new members coming in even, so we all have a good understanding of that policy. I would like to make a motion, if I could, to pull that policy for more discussion, if I can.
There is currently a motion on the table, so unless Barry is willing to amend his motion, we have to vote on what's on the table now.
Just my opinion on that is no, I will not modify my motion. And the second thing is I think social media is important, but I think moving forward it's going to be an ongoing process. So I'm assuming it'll probably come back to the policy committee again in the future. But I'm willing to make this move tonight to complete this, to get some framework, and then, if necessary, modify in the future with the right direction.
I would agree with you that this is a good starting point, and moving with policy tonight is the right move. But that, Matt, we're going to be doing onboarding and, a board work session to kind of get to know the new board and start forming norms that way. And I would think that that would be a very appropriate time for this to be brought into that discussion. And then if necessary, based on that conversation, it could be modified in the future. That would be my thought on it.
I would say that unless there's anything specific that we have any concerns about within the existing language, anything that we feel like is specifically missing or specifically misstated or unclear, then I would say we approve as is, and then as needed, make modifications just like we would with any other policy.
I think, to that point, I think the way it is written now is so vague, and there are so many different thoughts on what it actually means. I don't know that it is right to pass this policy as it is because of the vagueness in it. I don't believe we should be passing policy just to pass policy to get a framework. That's the job of the policy committee, is to go back to these policies when they're not the way that they should be and they're not tailored to our district, and bring forward a policy that we can start using right away the way it's intended to be.
I would say I've written multiple social media policies for other agencies before, and my experience with these specific policies is that they have to be intentionally vague because social media is a constantly evolving tool. And if you write it specifically for Facebook, or if you write it specifically for this type of communication, it's immediately out of date. So we have to have it has to be a framework that cannot account for every specific situation, every specific type of thing that somebody may say or do, and we work within that framework and make decisions as a board to the best of our abilities, with the understanding of what those things mean. And that is how that's how social media policies work and have to work.
And I think as a group, if you come together and you discuss something like this, in between that time and the discussion, Matt, make some notes about the things that you're questioning or things that you think would be advantageous to be more specific about. And that way you'll be ready for the conversation that would happen. And then that way the whole board can have some input and go forth tonight with a policy that I believe, when I read it and with what the attorney said, seems like it's pretty well stated, and then go from there. That's just a suggestion. It sounds like a good idea.
Any further discussion? So we have a motion on the table for all of the second reading by Barry, a second by Melissa. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Present.
We are going to end the evening with more special recognition of Sandra and Clark. And I know that they each would like to say a few words, and Sandra has requested to go first.
You know,
3 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead. Go right ahead. Say whatever you want.
Do you know how many hours I have listened to others? Just saying. Okay. And I will try to be concise. I promise. Okay. Because I really debated with myself, should I even say anything tonight? Went back and forth. But I decided to put a few things together to highlight my years at Linn-Mar. And it started with becoming a teacher at Linn-Mar. I taught second grade at Bowman Woods for 40 years at the same building. That was by choice, and I loved every minute of it. The people I work with were awesome, and I have nothing but good things to say for that. Along the years, I worked in many different capacities with Linn-Mar and on many committees, and tried to help out in the best way I could. Along the way, I earned a master's degree from the University of Northern Iowa, and went forth every day. My motto or my driving force was, I always strive to do what was best for, I wasn't going to do this, for each of my students. So, as I retired in June of 2015, I decided, kind of unbelievably, I think, to run for the Linn-Mar Board of Directors. And actually, I'm really, really glad I did. Some highlights I have and some milestones. And, you know, when you think back on 8 years, what can you say? Oh my gosh, there's, you know, these things that I mention are so, I don't know, there's so much more to it than what you hear. Okay, here we go. Just try to do this, okay. First of all, you know, I was elected twice. I ran for the board twice. I managed to have 8 years on the board, of which I really enjoyed. I served as board president for 4 years. When I came on the board, there was a new superintendent, Quentin Shepard, and we dove right in. At that time, there was this thing called thought exchange that we all learned a lot about. It was a survey tool used to get input for the direction of the district. And from that, we took that input and we developed a new strategic plan. The initial emphasis was on better communication. I really don't think that is ever going to change. We've been working on that for 8 years. Okay, we revised the Linn-Mar website, which is continually happening. We streamlined our school budget. We worked with Medco to create what is called Community Promise. That project and all is still happening. At the same time, we partnered with Iowa Big to have another way to present learning for students. We began addressing our overcrowding of our district. We put together an attempt of a bond issue which initially failed, and it was to build new schools and to repair things. So we came back together, revised things, came up with a new facility plan for repair and construction. We revised the bond proposal, and at that time, our superintendent moved on, and we hired Shanna Bisgard, which was an awesome, awesome hire. We passed the bond, built 2 new schools, the 5-6 buildings. We restructured all the other schools so that we addressed our overcrowding. We redistributed the population. With our new facility guide, we formed a committee of parents and staff and community members and envisioned what the district needed and wanted. From that, after many meetings, we came to a list of projects which we today are still working on. They were prioritized by their cost and time to complete. And since we are still working on those, we have the tennis courts almost complete. We have a new parking lot by the stadium. We have a new LRC almost completed, and it continues from there. New huge milestones of those 8 years. There was continual growth. Our budgets were balanced. Students ranked high across the state for academics, athletics, and music in all facets. We continued evaluation practices, best practices for teachers and students. We adopted high reliability schools for a guiding force, and this has continued to kind of filter down through the schools. We are using blended learning. We moved from Iowa Big to our own Venture Academics, which is a project-based way of learning. We purchased land that is north and east of Hazel Point Intermediate School and Echo Hill Elementary for future district expansion. And then some of the big ones. We endured COVID and all that the district faced trying to keep everyone safe. We engaged in one-to-one computer and iPads for all students. That helped us be able to have online learning and teaching with constant change. And during that time, I cannot say enough for our staff, our teachers, everyone who worked well beyond expectations to pull all of that off, to ensure that we were still the best we could be. The derecho struck on August 10th, 2020. Our new buildings were almost complete, but not quite. And the storm managed to, among a lot of the destruction, take the roof off of the new buildings and destroy the floors to both of the gymnasiums, so we had to start again. The repairs and the cleanup and the insurance increases were amazing. We also had a cyber attack on our district. We've had policy debates. We developed and are now implementing another new strategic plan. We had the retirement of Superintendent Bisgard, and we have now hired our new superintendent, Amy Kortmeyer. Now, those are just the tidbits. But in closing, all I want to say is when I first took this job and was first elected, Quentin Shepard asked me, my first time I met with him was, why do you want to be a part of the board? So I pondered that question for a short time, and I just simply answered, because I care. I care about the students, I care about the teachers, the staff, and all that we do at Linn-Mar. I care about where the district is headed, and I just need to do more. I hope my doing more has made a difference. I certainly gave it my all. Up. Okay. I wish the new board the best. I want you to work together and think how to move the district forward, whatever it takes. Shannon Bisgard, my first meeting, I was sitting right over here and he was sitting beside me and he said, so, are you ready for this? And I said, yes, I am, and I'm excited. And he goes, so here we go. So what I want to say is, that's how I feel about my new adventures before me. I will embrace them enthusiastically. I'm very excited for them, so here I go. And thank you to everyone for your support and your kind words. Thank you. Is, oh my. I knew if Clark went first, I'd cry through the whole thing. It was bad enough the way it was, so thank you all.
That is a gift basket from the district, and not going to make you open everything because.
Thank you.
Just
But thank you,
enjoy.
all of you, honestly. It means so much.
You're up.
No pressure. It's all yours, Clark.
Well, Barry, I've got a few pages here. I know you like to hear me talk, but it's been, I will never forget when I first came here in the fall of 1974. I pulled into a gas station because I'd never been to Cedar Rapids before. I taught 2 years at Colo and coached there. By the way, that's on Highway 30 next to Ames. Okay. And I pulled into a gas station, and for you young people, you don't even remember this, but we used to have gas station attendants that would clean your windows and pump the gas and everything else like that. So I pulled in, and I asked this young man, I said, I'm new to this area. I've got an interview at Linn-Mar. I said, can you help me get there? He said, I've heard of it, but I don't know where it is. So, that's how it all started. And, I was very fortunate to land a teaching job here. Sandra has mentioned several of the changes that Linn-Mar's gone through with the bond issue and the new schools. At my age and sitting out there, some of you are too young to hear what I'm going to say, because we used to hold graduation at Armstrong Field. Sitting there in the grass. And now this fantastic district has grown so large that we now are at the Alliant Energy facility down in Cedar Rapids. And it's just simply amazing. And it's just one of those things that, you look back and shouldn't have done that. Of all the people and students that you have, and like Sandra and her commitment to the students, that's one thing that I've tried to do in my career. I was a coach, I was a teacher, I was on the student assistance team, I was a mentor, I was a soda sponsor, and that's students opposed to drugs and alcohol for 20-some years. And some of the great honors is, being asked to a student's graduation party. I mean, it's amazing that you go there because they wanted you there. I mean, holy smokes. And I had one in particular. If you guys need a break for coffee or something, I understand that. I tried to give Barry some no-dose pills earlier. I had one of those situations where I was invited to this young lady, and I made all of them. Couldn't stay as long as I wanted to, but she said, Weave, you just better be there. I said, well, I'll try to make it. There's quite a few. I got to her house about 1 o'clock in the morning. I knocked on the door gently. She came to the door. She said, it's about damn time you got here. I walked in the house, and her parents, her grandparents were all dressed in their pajamas. And I said, hey, I'm sorry I'm late and stuff like that. And they said, well, we're going to stay up just as late as it took for you to be here. So, it's those kind of memories that we have. And I'm sorry this is going to be so long, you'll forget about it tomorrow. But I try to encapsulate, Sandra mentioned venture program, and how we have internships, and now we have our younger students that maybe want to come in to the educational field, which I encourage. See, I've already put her to sleep. It used to be up to 3,000 going into education. Now we got 1,500 or 1,600. We got to turn that around. When we have new teacher at the beginning of the year, it's so encouraging to see Linn-Mar grads that are 18 years old when they cross the stage, and their whole life is ahead of them, careers and everything, and they come back here. That says to me everything. Why? They know what kind of education they're going to get. They know that there are family values in this city. And they want to be a teacher. And if you're a teacher like we have here, and Sherry Crandall, and all the others, and principals, our administration, it's interesting. And what a thing that we do as a board is we get to go to every building once a year and see our students, see the impact that the teachers have on them and our administration have on them. And then I got to thinking, you know, some of those teachers are former students. You just elected a former student of mine. I had her husband, and this is going to age me, I had all of her kids. It's one of those things that as I leave, I've got 3 former students that are principals. I have 1 former student, and I don't know why he's not here, is assistant superintendent, Bob Reed. So I'm glad you made me turn my mic on so he can hear that. But it's one of those things that embodies this district. I love this district. I spent more than half of my life here. Oh, and speaking of that, come on in, John. Your wife's right over here. I also had John in track and in wrestling. But to the teachers, I want you to encourage the teachers to remember their why. Why are they here? Why are you here? Keep your focus on the impact that you make, and always on your students, and always remember that you are valued, appreciated, and needed. And I hope to God that all of you remember that when it comes time to vote and get people in the legislature that support education, support our teachers, so that this district will continually move forward. And I want them to know that the teachers, you are appreciated, you are valued, and to be quite honest, you've made this district what I think is the best one in the state. I did say about Peppo, you got to do that, folks. But at the end of our lives, the only evidence of our existence is the impact we make. As teachers, and they walk across that stage, you don't know. If you have, you really don't know. And I think I'll end with this. You look at those teachers and what they've gone through. There isn't a teacher, like Sandra said, that went through COVID-19 they were never taught hybrid learning. They were not taught how to teach virtually. And they somehow did it. They figured it out, and they gave our students the very best that they could give with hours that go beyond the end of a class, the end of a class day. And I want you all to know, and if there's anybody out there that's still awake and can hear this, I want you to know I was extremely blessed with the students I had, coached, dealt with in the hallway, dealt at a meeting. And I hope those that are out there that listen to this, I hope you can share that on your Facebook with your classmates and people that you know. But I hope I get invited, and Sandra gets invited to the tennis court opening, the new administrative building, the new performance center, the new athletic thing. We won't have these tags on anymore, but you know, when you try to push things, this board has always tried to move this district forward. We looked at behind, we saw our mistakes. We tried to fix everything. This new board will do the exact same thing under the guidance of the people that are here and this fantastic woman over here, our superintendent. I've worked with her, I've dealt with her. She doesn't know enough about me, and that might be a good thing. But she is awesome. With being in a leadership team with Britt has been a true honor. Working with Sandra, we worked together so well because we got the elementary part and working together, and then the high school part, and she would work with me to this district, like I said, is the best. This is an honor and a privilege to be a teacher and a board member here at Linn-Mar. When I taught health, there was an expression that Madeline Olson and I said, you want to look to the altruistic person. What can you do afterwards? Well, this is what I decided. I was encouraged, and I ran, and God bless those that voted for me. But I have worked with tremendous, tremendous people, not only on the board, inside these hallways, janitors, everything. My wife's back there saying, would you wind this up? And I want to thank everybody. You must believe in Linn-Mar. I will always be a Lion. Okay? And please, get those people to vote and keep this board solid and to keep it growing and moving forward with our staff and our students. Thank you.
That they would like to make to wish Clark and Sandra farewell. Now would be your time. I will just say that on my behalf, you both welcomed me 4 years ago, and you made this experience amazing. And I'm going to miss you, both of you. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure.
been incredible mentors as we learn the ropes and figure things out. And thank you for all of your years of service.
Thank you. That means a lot.
That could be like, we could just keep going and going and going, but,
Can I say something?
yes.
Yeah,
Amy?
I just want to thank you both from the bottom of my heart, 48 and 49 years respectively. I just want those years to sit out there with everybody in the audience and those of you that are viewing. That's just an incredible amount of time, dedication, true loyalty to a district that's 75 years young, and the amount of time, effort, energy, love that you've poured into your roles as both teachers and board members is truly incredible. You won't find that statewide. It's amazing, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
I have a motion to adjourn at 6:21.
Moved.
Motion by Melissa and a second by Sandra. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're going to do some group pictures now that we're all, red-eyed and
Organizational meeting to order, and we'll take roll call to determine a quorum. Buckles.
Here.
Foss.
Here.
Lau Lancaster.
Here.
Maury.
Here.
Rollinger.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Wall.
Here.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second?
Motion Buckles, second Walker. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those against? Motion carries. Right, I will administer the oath of office to the newly elected school board members, Justin Foss and Katie Lau Lancaster. If you guys want to meet me over here, I'm sure somebody will probably take pictures. We'll do Katie. Can I do them at the same time or have to do them separate? Anybody know that?
You can do them at the same time.
I can do them at the same time? Perfect, we'll do them at the same time. Okay, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of your elected office in the Linn-Mar Community School District as now and hereafter required by law?
Yes.
I do.
Thank you, congratulations.
That's the hardest part of the whole thing.
Next, we'll move on to the election of board president, and then the administration of oath of office. So I will open the floor for nominations for president.
Motion to approve Barry Buckholz as board president to serve a one-year term.
Second.
And so I'm just taking nominations currently.
Oh.
So just
I
nominations.
nominate Barry Buckholz.
Okay. Do I have any other nominations?
I also nominate Barry Buckholz.
Barry's nominated. All right, now can I have the motion for Barry Buckholz?
Motion to approve Barry Buckholz as board president to serve a one-year term.
Second?
And we'll have a roll call. Foss,
Yes.
Lau Lancaster,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Rollinger,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes?
Wall,
Yes.
Buckholz.
Yes.
And we will do the oath of office. With me, Barry. Right. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of president of the Linn-Mar Community School District Board of Directors as now and hereafter required by law? I will. Congratulations.
Get your mic, Barry.
Nope, with that, I turn it over to you, Barry. Item 303, the election of board vice president.
Well, I appreciate your confidence, appreciate the vote of confidence and the unanimous vote moving forward. Now, as we progress, we will facilitate the election of a vice president, and this is open for nominations as well.
I nominate Melissa Walker.
I'm going to nominate Brett Maury as well. So then, now just ask for a motion, or how do we handle that
No.
next?
So with two nominations, this goes to a ballot. So I think Superintendent Courtmeyer will hand out ballots. So with that, your votes, you'll cast those on those, and then Barry, you'll tally those votes when they're received. So I can come around and collect them.
Can't be a secret ballot though, correct? You have to know how everyone votes.
My memory is that we've never had it that way before.
The only reason I know this is I literally just saw something in the news of a board having a secret ballot and trouble for it. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Any thoughts anybody have?
It's doing the public business in the public eye, so.
Okay.
Put your name on it.
Do we read off how everybody voted, or we just read the total? Okay, so just read through them.
Yep.
Okay. So then, to be public, I will, yeah, go ahead. I will read off who voted for who. So, in no particular order. Foss voted for Walker. Bollinger voted for Walker. Melissa voted for Walker. Surprise, surprise. Rachel voted for Melissa. Katie voted for Britt. Britt voted for Britt. And I voted for Walker. So that's 5-2. 5-2 vote. Melissa will be the VP moving forward. So you need to, we need to have a motion to approve that, if we can.
Approve Melissa Walker as board vice president to serve as a one-year term.
Second.
Okay, we have Matt made the motion, and Rachel seconded it. So we have a roll call vote again. Foss?
Yes.
Katie Lyle Lancaster?
Yes.
Britt Morey?
Yes.
Bollinger?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Wall?
Yes.
Buckholz, yes. Motion carries. So you need to be sworn in now as well. I do that?
Yes.
Surprise, surprise, huh? All righty. Okay. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of Vice President of Linn-Mar Community School District Board of Directors as now and hereafter required by law?
Thank you.
Okay, now we need to discuss legal counsel. We have a motion to approve that.
Make a motion to accept the recommendation to appoint the law firm of Pickens, Barnes, and Abernathy for general counsel and Terry Abernathy as attorney, Simmons, Perrine, Moyer, Bergman for real estate and copyright matters, and Allers and Cooney for general counsel, special education, personnel, negotiations, construction, real estate, and bonding matters for the 2023-24 fiscal year.
Second.
I apologize. I thought there was a discussion prior. There should be a discussion prior to the motion, I believe.
Well, we'll take the motion and then we'll have a discussion.
I sent an email to both Britt and Amy regarding, I would like the special education portion pulled out for a separate vote, as I have a perceived conflict possibly, and I was supposed to bring that up in the discussion portion of it before the motion.
Okay, so you can make a motion. You can ask a motion to withdraw that from that.
I asked to amend the motion to remove the special education portion to be voted on separately.
Can you give some references to the reasoning for that?
It's personal, it is a personal conflict.
For you specifically?
For me specifically.
Okay. Are you able to just abstain from the vote?
That's, well, I can abstain from that, but I do not want to abstain from the discussion and the vote of all of the other legal
Oh,
counsel.
I see.
Okay, so do we have a second to Matt's amendment?
I second his amendment.
Brett will second the amendment. Do we have a discussion on this amendment to the?
I'm seconding because if Matt wants to recuse himself specifically from special education but still participate in the rest of the vote, I think that that's a fair request.
Okay. Any other comments? Matt made the motion to amend, and Britt seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so now we're going to vote on this, bringing this group in with the amendment being pulled out of that, to pull out the education piece of it. So whoever made that motion, Rachel, you need to amend your motion, or you need to redo your motion, pulling that out of there, if you would.
I am going to amend my motion and pull out special education.
Okay. Motion by Rachel, seconded by Melissa. Now more discussion.
I appreciate the Finance Committee putting the information together on the attorneys this year on, what they charge, all of those sorts of things that I was asking that we hadn't been doing in the past. I don't see anything there on any of those, in any of that information that would, quote unquote, disqualify anyone. I do want to bring forth a concern with our general counsel. We're using general counsel, Ehlers and Cooley, Marion Van Hoekelum, specifically for general counsel, when we had never voted to do that. I believe it was Lynch Dallas is who we actually voted on to use for general counsel, and we've been using them for a year outside of that. So I did ask the question of, one, why did we start using Ehlers and Cooley for general counsel? When did that happen, and why did that happen, and why are we now recommending them for general counsel and not, who we were supposed to be using in the past? Do we have?
Ehlers and Cooney has been doing that, and the three people that were at Lynch Dallas, the people that were there doing that work for us, have moved into the Ehlers and Cooney organization. And Lynch Dallas gave them their blessings because they wanted to get out of that world. So basically, it's a smooth, easy transition. And in our eyes, we feel that, this is my opinion, sorry, my opinion that they're the best that's in the state. And they have virtually every school district, minus a few. And the positives, the time I spent in Des Moines, the districts I talked to feel that this is our best option. They feel moving forward, they'll handle this and treat us the best. That's my thoughts. Any other thoughts?
When you originally brought up that question about general counsel, it's the only time I've reached out to Shannon since retirement because he has the experience. And he said that general counsel was more of a second opinion, that historically, in his tenure at Linn-Mar, both as associate and as superintendent, Allers and Cooney had always been the law firm that they went to for policy, for special education, for all things education related, and that having additional law firms approved as general counsel was if we needed a second opinion or something else that came up. It wasn't that they were the primary law firms that were utilized at the time. So I can share that based on a conversation that I had with Shannon, Superintendent Bisgard, based on your inquiry.
The other concern I have is, and I'm not here to hash whether my opinion is they're good attorneys or they're not good attorneys. My concern is when a legal action happens against the district, and this isn't hypothetical, it's happened several times in the past couple of years. As soon as that happens, that gets transferred over to our insurance company, and our insurance company is hiring Ehlers and Cooley. So there is an actual financial incentive for that attorney, for those attorneys, to have us in a lawsuit. I think that is a huge conflict of interest that we really need to consider. And if we want to keep Ehlers and Cooley, I think that's fine, but we need to have something in our policy that the insurance company's attorneys can't be the same, so we actually have legal counsel. Because when the insurance company starts paying for legal counsel, it is the duty of that legal counsel to represent that client. We are no longer that client when the insurance company is paying for it. So I think that is a huge red flag for me that, and again, I'm not saying we shouldn't use Ehlers and Cooley, Cooley, but we should not be using them when the insurance company takes over. We should have our own, the district should have its own legal counsel, so when the insurance company says our attorneys are telling us to do this, we have legal counsel telling the district what's in our best interest on what they say.
I can't disagree with you, Matt, but I don't, do we actually have proof that that has happened?
Yes.
Do we have the documentation that that has happened?
What's happened?
That the insurance companies did hire Allers and Cooney to come in? Do
Yes.
we have all those facts? Are they all documented?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So as we work through that, then what are our options?
Well, again, like there's lots of, we can discuss the options. We can either choose a different attorney to be our go-to general counsel, or if something were to happen legally, that a legal action gets taken on the district and the insurance company hires Ehlers and Cooley, Cooney, I apologize. We need to have legal counsel that is representing us as a board in our district directly. So when they're telling us this is the best option, we actually have legal counsel saying this is the best option for the district, not necessarily the best option for the insurance company.
I know that the insurance company, I understand the business, but the business is also a large law firm that has multiple attorneys working within it. Do we know if it's the same attorneys or if it's the same law firm?
It's the same attorneys.
Same actual attorneys.
I did have a bit of a conversation with one of the attorneys at the firm the other day, and there is a industry standard around conflict of interest. I can't articulate that to you tonight, but I know that there is a conflict of interest industry standard that they apply, and I heard you say that to me several times, you know, that EMC goes off and typically will select Allers. That tells me also that they're aware of this industry standard and that it must be okay per the industry standard of how it's happened in the most recent experiences that you've had. Matt, I'm not saying it has to stay that way, but go ahead.
Yeah, so if I can just kind of speak from corporate world, right, where we deal with this all the time because there are a few law firms, but lots of attorneys, and they all work. They do have very strict internal governance on that to keep that. So I understand one law firm, but also that they do practice a very high standard of pulling from each other.
So do we need to maybe just approve a secondary if we determine if this specific law firm, Ehlers and Cooney, identifies a conflict of interest according to industry standards and says we can't represent you because it would be a conflict of interest, then we would go to the number 2. I'm wondering if we have enough layers within who we're approving to be able to address that.
We also have, in that motion is Pickens, Barnes, and Abernathy for general counsel as well, so.
That would be our second
So then we
layer.
would, yeah, we have more than one. And I don't think there's any evidence that Ollers has done anything nefarious.
I don't want to claim that that's what I'm saying, but I hope you understand my concern when that happens. Now the attorney that we've hired as a district is now getting paid by a different entity on the same issue. All I'm saying is Pickens, Barnes, and Abernathy would be fine as long as then we bring them in to say, okay, we want to be able to go to you for legal counsel on what they're telling us here.
I don't want to pay twice. I'm sorry.
We're not paying, though.
But we pay our insurance premiums. We have an insurance policy to protect us, and then the insurance policy makes a recommendation when and if that becomes necessary. They're making a recommendation based on Ehlers and Cooney's expertise in education. I don't think then we need to incur additional legal fees to double check the lawyers that we have hired ourselves and trust.
I agree.
But again, we're not hiring them at that point. We're not paying them at that point.
Our insurance company, we've purchased the insurance policy. We have selected that insurance firm to protect us and
mitigate risks. It's their,
it's
like on the line as well.
Yeah, so I guess we have 3 law firms in this motion. So if there was an instance where we did come across an opportunity to say we'd like to spot check, but I don't want to make it practice that we incur additional legal fees to double check the law firm we've already approved because the insurance company has picked them, because we've picked our insurance company and they are hired to work in the best interest of reducing our risk. So that's my 2 cents.
That's almost correct. They are hired to represent the insurance company's risk at that point. That's the big picture here, is they truly are representing the insurance company at that point. And that's the only point I want to make.
Their risk is our risk, because if we have a violation or something, then that is costly to them as well, because then they would have to pay out on that. So I don't know any situation, or can't envision any situation in which their risk would be in conflict of interest with our risk.
We've already seen it. We've already gotten legal advice from an attorney, gotten sued for it, got sent to the insurance company, and the insurance company is now paying that legal counsel represented in court. It's already happened.
I'm not really aware of all the particulars that you're talking about, but would it be possible, all the other ones say general counsel, and/or can we just allow for some flexibility of this group to be able to say that we add where it just stopped for real estate and copyright matters and/or general counsel, because that's the only one is not listed as a potential for general counsel. I don't want to assume that anyone professionally, especially in the tiers that you have suggested, would do any wrongdoing or have anything other than our best interest. So I want to make sure as we move forward that our conversation doesn't sound persecutory, because that could also get us in some unfair situations to sound like anybody has done anything other than our best interest. But I respect where you're coming from, Matt. If we add that, then they all have the potential, if this board wanted to hire them for a second opinion or general. You wouldn't be limited to just real estate and copyright and/or general matters. Now they're all the same too.
I'm okay with just leaving, Pickens, Barnes, and Abernathy for general counsel and using them if we need be. I just wanted to make it very clear what my concerns are from what I've seen. So we can move on.
Yeah, no, and all comments are good because, attorneys have morals and ethics just like the rest of us do. I am probably a little bit disappointed over the last 3 years, the amount of attorney's fees we paid compared to what we paid in the last 10 to 15 years. They've skyrocketed, and I guess it's a sue happy world. But I don't think we want to add another layer that we have to hire another attorney and bring it in, because we're affecting the bottom line. And maybe that's not the way to look at it, but I have to have respect for EMC, and they've protected us over the years too. So, you know, who they bring in and who we bring in is, yeah.
But don't we always have the option as a board to say we need a second opinion?
Yes.
Yes.
So you don't necessarily need a policy, one more thing, layer, that's, okay, got it. I caught up.
I think you do make a good point that, like, our legal fees haven't only increased because of lawsuits, though. They've increased because of increased inquiry from the board, increased inquiry with regards to parental matters. I think all of that has to be taken into account. It's not just lawsuits.
And hopefully moving forward, we can, I guess, curb that, cut that, bring that down if we possibly can, because it's, to me, it's wasteful. And I just feel we need.
That leads into another point of, you know, the council that we pick should be keeping us in between the rails. We shouldn't be on the fringe of everything, because that's where lawsuits happen. Now, you can never prevent lawsuits from happening completely, but we can certainly, through our legal counsel, keeping it more in our lane, so we're not putting ourselves in these positions to be sued. And I think that is an important part of our legal counsel as well, is to keep us in that center lane.
I think we're kind of straying here from the intent of the motion.
I'd call the vote.
So we have a motion, and I'm sorry, who was it? Was it Rachel? And it was Melissa, right? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Make a motion to accept the recommendation to appoint Allers and Cooney for special education per Matt's request to vote separately on that issue.
That.
Motion by Britt, seconded by Justin. Any other questions?
I appreciate you doing that. I just wanted to be able to abstain from this vote.
Okay. Matt's going to abstain. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Designation of depository banks.
Make a motion to designate Farmer State Bank with an authorized limit of $30 million, Hills Bank with an authorized limit of $30 million, Central State Bank with an authorized limit of $5 million, and Iowa School Joint Investment Trust with an authorized limit of $20 million as depositories of the district for the 2023-24 fiscal year.
Second.
Motion by Britt, second by Melissa. Questions, comments?
These are changes, is that correct?
That's correct. Right, Jonathan?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve the Cedar Rapids Gazette as the district's designated newspaper of general circulation for the 2023-2024 fiscal year.
Second.
Motion by Melissa, second by Matt. Questions?
I love that, you know, we're going to continue with this because they're the only ones that print in the area. I just want to take a second to recognize that the fact that Marion has a new newspaper starting up. It's online only, so it does not fulfill our requirements for this, but if they did, that would be a nice piece to do.
Everybody understands what this really is whenever you post public hearings, put any public hearing out, that's basically what it has to be out X amount of times. And whether anybody reads it or not, it's immaterial, but it has to be there, so appreciate the comment. Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve the 2023-24 board meeting dates as presented.
Motion by Melissa, second by Rachel. Questions? Who sets all this? Nathan? This your baby? I'm just asking. Any questions on it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You know, we're going to talk about who represents which committees, kind of where we stand.
Can you pass that to Barry?
we've had a number of people that requested being on the policy committee first. And basically, we're going to put 3 people on the policy committee. And of the 4 people that have requested to be on the committee is myself, Melissa, Matt, and Rachel. So any thoughts on that from anybody?
I know last year when we talked about our committee assignments, we kind of, made an agreement that since some of them only meet once or twice a year, it would be good to keep everyone on them for the 2 years. So you get a little more interaction with those committees. I would hope we can do that again, kind of make that kind of an agreement. Obviously, it's my opinion to do that. So if you were on the policy committee, maybe step off the policy committee and let some others on that hadn't been for the past 2 years if they wanted to be.
I think it's important to have a balance between past representation for continuity as well as bringing new people in for training purposes of that, and have experience from people who have developed policy before, people who have been on the policy committee, and people who maybe don't have as much experience but have been maybe involved in the board for longer, things like that, and in order to make sure that we've got some different perspectives there, and that we will always, I'm trying to look forward in terms of longevity of the board and succession planning for these types of committees, and making sure that we've got a plan for the future for that as well.
So like I said, there's going to be 3 people on here. So I guess what we will do at this point, unless we have to go to a vote, we'll ask for nominations from the floor on who you, and myself, I need to be on this committee, period. So as we move forward, do we have some nominations?
Barry, Melissa, and Rachel.
Nominate myself.
We have 2 nominations on the floor, and basically with that said, we're going to have to take another vote like we have.
Is there a second for one of those?
I'll second Britt's nomination.
So then we can move forward with that nomination, correct? Don't have to take a vote.
I would like to say I strongly want to be on this policy committee. There is, in my opinion, a severe lack of willingness to want to dig into these policies, and I have been trying to do that from outside. I think I can do good on this policy to get policies that are brought to the board table that everyone will understand, that we will agree on. And I know we don't always agree on things, but I think having me on the policy committee, we can have those discussions in the committee to have agreement with the entire committee to bring it to the board table with something solid that we can agree on. I strongly urge you to reconsider and allow me to be on the policy committee.
Okay, well, we have a motion on the table, and we have a second. All the vote. Vote is for myself and Melissa and Rachel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll have the same discussion on the finance and audit. So I guess up front, again, my intentions are to stay on that as the president. So do we have a motion from anybody that would like to?
I would also like to stay on that committee.
Britt, myself, Matt, and Rachel.
I would like to make a motion to include myself in that list.
Okay, so who else would you like to have with you?
I will make a motion for Justin Fosbury, Buckholz, and Britannia Maury.
Second that.
We have a motion by Justin and a second by Katie. Comments, questions?
The only comment I would say is that Justin, not because I don't think that you should be on this committee, but I will say that as a first-year board member, there are other committees that I think are really valuable for first-year board members in order to learn about the diversity of the district. And so what we had talked about last year was asking people to wait a year to move on to either policy or finance so that they had that first year to learn about the general operations of the district and then moving into finance and policy. Not saying that it's a hard and fast, that can never happen, but that is sort of the recommendation, is to wait a year to move on to those two, just because there's so much detail and so much prior knowledge needed in order to really understand the inner workings of those two committees, that it's difficult for a first-year board member to be prepared for that.
I would say that we made that recommendation for first years to wait a year 2 years ago, and then last year we decided to try out a 2-year stint. I have served on finance audit for 4 years. I started my first year. It is a steep learning curve. It can be done. And if, as Matt recommended, we stick with this 2-year rotation, then I am no longer opposed to first-year members being on finance audit.
I would just make a comment to that. I also was a first year 16 years ago. My first year on the board, I was on the finance committee, and I was able to learn from some veterans, and I thought it was beneficial just to kind of dive in and go after it. So
I appreciate, Melissa, your comment about being first year, but given that Justin has an MBA, I got to take that class with him and the fast learner, and his looking at things going, it's this, and put this in over here. It was fun to be with somebody who spoke numbers before we got that far down. I know there's so many more policies. I'm sitting here with my little glossary right in front of me right now. But I think having somebody with new eyes is always refreshing to a team. And both of you are saying that you have extended service. It would be nice to just say from fresh eyes. And as Matt was recommending, having different people coming in at different places would be a good set of eyes on this.
And I really feel with the election process we just went through, kind of magnified that a little bit. The two of you had to kind of learn on the run real fast because you had tons of questions. So, anyway, so,
I'd be curious for Rachel, just because she is somebody who's been on this committee for a little bit, and what your thoughts are on being asked to step down from that committee. And
No, I'm not on finance right now.
Oh, you're not on finance?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I was thinking you were on finance.
So I would like to go back to kind of the agreement that we had, the previous board had put together on these 2-year stints, to where we would change those things up a little bit. And I would really, again, like to be part of this committee as well. I have shown that I will put forth the effort of being at these meetings and digging into it. And again, I strongly am urging you to allow what we talked about last year and switching these committees up, because that was certainly the understanding when we left here, that we would be switching these committees up for the people that were not on them to get on them.
I appreciate the passion, appreciate the confidence that everybody wants to serve, everybody needs to serve, but we do have a motion on the table and a second. Ed, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Justin, Barry, and Britt. Okay, the Career and Technical Education Advisory Committee, and that's Matt and Melissa are on it. Sandra was on it. So do we have volunteers that would like to be on that? We don't necessarily have to have 3. We could have 2. Anybody have a desire to do that?
think it's a good committee to learn on. I'm happy to go back on that one if no one else wants to. But I do have a couple others that I would prefer if there are people that want to serve on CTE.
As I'm a newcomer, I'd be glad to serve in that capacity, and obviously I'm in Sandra's spot, so it's following through. So I'd be glad to do that if you felt that that would be helpful for this team.
Do we just have the 4 board committees?
No, we have.
And then the additional ones?
These are the four, I guess I would call major.
Yeah, okay.
And you have the additional ones, correct.
Typically, board members are in 2 to 3 committees.
I didn't see facilities. Is facilities a
Maybe
committee?
it would be helpful to run down a list of all the committees before we go any further one by one, so that
Everybody has a list of the committees. So for the folks in the audience, we have a finance and audit, we have a policy committee, we have a career and tech ed committee, and we have a school improvement advisory committee. And then for additional committees that we have diversity and equity inclusion committee, venture academics, Linn-Mar High School School Counselors Advisory Committee, Linn County Conference Board, and the legislative liaisons. And
Sandra also mentioned that we're missing the community promise for Medco. She serves as a representative for us on that, so we
Okay.
need to add that to the bottom. She mentioned that just to me earlier.
Well, no, we do not have a facilities committee.
Facilities has been not meeting recently, but may at some point, once or twice a year maybe.
I've seen it as part of the agenda items on Finance Audit Committee because it's so tangentially related to our financial discussions, and so that's where that one's been really tucked in for the month.
Facilities committee is really the community ad hoc committee. It's not the internal. So internal discussion happens with finance audit, and then when there is the need to have a facilities committee, it's made up of community members, parents, students, staff, and then 3 board members are kind of semi-members, semi-observers of that.
But more of an ad hoc.
Yeah, it's an ad hoc committee with community members. It's not a board-only committee. It's where the last one, it was Clark, Sandra, and I, and it was where OPN came in and administrators came in and they shared this is where we're at, these are the needs, these are the things that we want to think about. The board gave kind of guidelines around, we kind of, at the time we took the second high school off the table. We said that's not what we're talking about, but here are other things that we need. And then the community met over the course of 3 or 4 meetings to then come together and make a recommendation to the board of this is where we think you should focus your time. And that's how we have our current facilities plan of the parking lot, the tennis courts, the LRC, the administration building, the performing arts venue, and the activity center. So I would imagine that at some point we would need a facilities committee again, but I don't know when that's going to be. So if you want to set it now or you want to wait.
Probably wait. We have a 10-year plan that we work on moving forward as well. So, but thanks for bringing it up. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to CTE. Brett and Katie have volunteered if
I will only
necessary.
volunteer if we need a 3rd member. If there are 2 other people that would like to serve on that committee, then I will wait for others' opportunities.
I'd love to serve.
2 enough, or do we need 3?
You can just have up to 3. It's really our call.
Anybody want to make a motion or to?
Motion to approve Katie and Justin for the CTE committee.
Second. Melissa made the motion, Britt seconded it. And Katie and Justin. Comments, questions?
Does the board want a 3rd member? Because I am happy to join that if the board feels that we should have 3 members. It is a pretty big committee.
Made the motion.
I don't know, Matt, we sat on that this year, and do you feel like it was valuable to have 3 people there, or do you think that 1 or 2 people?
I think it was valuable for the ones that showed up to it. Generally, we had one member there.
Just wanted to ask. I'm fine either way, so.
think 2 is probably sufficient.
So we have a motion for Katie and Justin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. School Improvement Advisory Committee. Rachel, Lisa, and Matt were on that before.
This committee for new members, this one reviews school data, typically assessment information, what they're asked to do is to bring back recommendations to the board of ways that the district can improve overall. Typically that's focused around academics, but they could look at other things, district programs and things like that.
Would like to go back on that committee if there's not 3 other people, but I will step back if there are 3 people that would like to serve there.
Anybody else request that one?
I think I did.
No.
You did,
Rachel
Rachel?
did, sorry. Good?
Rachel?
Sorry. Anybody else?
I'll gladly take that one.
Katie?
Sure.
Somebody make that motion?
Motion to approve Britt, Rachel, and Katie for the SIAC committee.
Motion by Melissa, seconded by Justin. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? DEI, equity wall. Rachel was on that. Melissa has put her name on that list, correct?
Yes, I'm interested in either. So I've got a couple other ones that I'm interested in. I don't want to take too many on because I know that there's probably other ones that others are also interested in. So I'm interested in the DEI, but also in the school counselor advisory if that is intended to start meeting again. So that was a question for you, Melissa. Is that intended to be meeting again this year?
Sorry, it's not working. Yes, they're planning on starting meetings in January, and they are working on getting that, so they will be meeting again. They haven't been, but they have plans to. They've just been waiting for a board member.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about what the intention of that committee is going to be moving forward?
The high school counselors have been diving into the work around the strategic goal in terms of that RAMP certification. So looking at what they're currently doing, looking at options, reviewing and gathering data to move that system along in the direction that we need to meet our strategic goal around RAMP certification.
For just awareness, I serve on that advisory committee as in my professional capacity for ICANN, so I am at those meetings, but not as a board member. At least I was the last time they met. I'm assuming that they will ask ICANN to represent again. So just for awareness, I'm already on that, but not as a board member.
Probably would be a conflict of interest for you to.
I don't want to be the
there
board
in
rep.
both.
Nope. I need to be there as the career and college person, not as the board member person. So. No, Katie, you were also interested in the school counselor one.
I would be interested in serving on that one. And I would appreciate knowing that I'm not alone.
Melissa and Katie initially, correct?
Are you?
We slipped out. We started going down. We dropped down 3
I think those 2 are kind of related in my mind, and so, Katie, you're interested in the school counselor one?
Correct.
Okay, then I would be happy.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I know the DEI committee is already comprised of heavily weighted with people that are already member of mayor. I believe you are already a member of mayor.
I'm a member, no longer a board member though.
Not that that is conflict in any way, but I think more diversity on that committee would be good. I'll throw my hat into the DEI advisory committee.
That's the one that we're on right now, just to clarify. DEI.
And
So-
looking at that one, we can have more than one board member on that. Is that
That
correct?
one is, in the past anyway, has been one board member.
I think 2 would be good if we can.
So DEI, I've gone the last 2 meetings because Rachel was unable to attend, and the board role on that committee is not, you are not a member of the committee, you are observing the work of the committee. So originally, the reason we only had one board member was because it was an observing position and not, like, you don't dig into, like, I sat at the committee table, but it's not like other committee work. I would be happy to continue going if that's something, like, if Melissa, if your membership with mayor causes an issue for someone, I would be happy to continue going to those. But it's not, I don't think it's a committee that we need to send more than one board member to, just for the structure of how it's set up.
We're listening presence.
We're a listening presence.
Matt has volunteered, so anybody make a motion for that?
Which committee, I'm sorry?
I'm interested.
We're in the
still.
DEI committee, okay? Just need some kind of motion. We've had a few people volunteer.
I just
For
said,
Matt.
no, I don't.
Second that.
Committee.
We got a motion for Matt on that committee by himself. Any other questions, comments? All in favor? Opposed?
Nay.
We've got to make sure we count here.
Want to do a roll call?
I think so. So we need let me get a roll call in front of me here, make that work. So Matt has volunteered. We have a motion to put Matt on there. So basically, a roll call vote would be Voss?
No.
Okay. Katie?
No.
Maury?
No.
Matt? Walker?
No.
Paul?
No.
Buckholz? Yes. So it failed. So now we need another motion to put, somebody make a motion to put on that committee.
I make a motion to appoint Melissa to the DEI committee.
A motion, do we have a second? No second? So that fails. So,
Motion to appoint Britt to the DI committee?
Anyone, does Katie or Justin want to serve on DEI?
I'll do it. Gladly do it.
first of all, we have a motion from
so-
Melissa to put Britt on that committee.
Right, and there's no
Decline
second.
in favor of Katie.
Okay. So now,
Make a motion for Katie to serve on the DEI committee.
Second.
by Melissa, second by Britt. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Venture Academics. I was on it with Sandra. I'm happy to serve it again, but I'm happy to defer as well. They really only meet a couple times a year. There's a meeting coming up on the 30th. Hands-on, once again, we're just there listening, observing. But the excitement, and usually they'll bring youngsters in to share with us what they're doing and show us. So anybody want to volunteer for that? I think Britt volunteered on the list. Anybody else? Or do you change your mind?
It's not that I changed my mind, but I also originally didn't volunteer for SIAC, so I will happily not do venture so that other people have opportunities to serve on committees.
Anybody?
I would do that, the venture.
Anybody else? I mean, I'm happy to do it too, if nobody else does, because I kind of enjoy that. So
I'm interested in it. Matt, do you want to do venture?
once again, they meet twice a year, so.
In that case, I will, if no one else is interested, then yes, I will do that one as well, because I wanted to do that one last time and didn't, so.
You volunteer?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have 3 of us that volunteer.
Okay.
So I can opt out too. I'm okay. I think I'll have enough meetings, but, so.
All right, I'll make a motion for Britannia and Melissa to be on the Venture Academics Advisory.
A second?
And Barry, or just the 2 of us?
2 of you.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Justin, second by Katie. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Melissa and Britt. Okay, counselor session.
Okay, this is the only one I'm putting my name out there.
I motion for Katie.
Thank you.
Okay, motion for Katie, the Linn-Mar High School Counselors Advisory. Questions, comments? In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Linn County Conference Board. Don't line up at the door.
I motion for Barry to stay with it.
Second.
Other volunteers, guys. You meet with all the mayors and all the school boards of the county, city meeting, conference meeting. I'm happy to take it.
All the vote.
All in favor, say
Stop
aye.
jabbering. Aye.
Opposed? Legislative liaisons. Britt and Melissa have volunteered, but I'm open for more volunteers.
Additionally, we have tried to have one person from each election cycle. If Justin or Katie or Barry want to take my spot, I'm happy to.
Or mine.
Well, they're not on your election cycle. Sorry.
Or either one of ours.
So I'm happy to stick with it. I'm also happy to give you guys that opportunity. And I'll jump at once.
I mean, gladly tip, but I'm already on 2 of these. So, like,
You're on 4, Katie.
well, yeah, but the big, I mean, the top row. Okay, this is a little bit here.
Welcome to the school board.
But I've been going, so they meet twice. They haven't even met. Okay, that one's a good one. Okay.
So legislative liaison doesn't formally meet. It's mostly making sure that the priorities the board voted on, that when the district hosts representatives, if you're able to attend, you come to that. There's one coming up in December. It's organizing any letters or statements with regards to any pending legislation, and then it's organizing educational bill updates for each board meeting. And typically, that's a pretty easy, that's the hardest part, unless you know where to look, and then you can kind of pull things together from those sites. But
I'm going to start this one off. I decline another committee, so.
Okay. I'm happy to stay with it if Justin or Barry doesn't want to take my spot. We also don't have to have 2. That was just the original recommendation because we were mimicking what another district had done. If you don't want to have 2, that's fine. Like, I'm following all this stuff anyway, so it's not extra
You
work
can
for me.
continue to be lead, and I'll be your backup.
It's fine. I really, like I said, that I do anyway.
Great job with it last year.
So we're doing Britt and Melissa.
I'll make a motion for Britt and Melissa to be on the legislative liaisons for the next year.
Second.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I do want to back up just a bit.
Community promise, still don't forget that one.
That's right. I wrote that down there. We're just gonna let facilities sit. Because I think as a leadership team, we'll work through that process if necessary, because that's a big thing, and it's a number of, so I think that's important. So I just kind of want to back up just a little bit to the diversity equity. I know we already passed this, and if I can't retract it, then I can't. But initially, we had Matt written in on that, and Edie's in that by herself. I personally would have an interest of having Matt serve on that if I can, but we've already passed.
I'm good with it.
That was just a thought that I had, but.
If the board wants to send 2 representatives, that's the board's decision. It's just, that's not what we had originally, that's not how it was crafted. But the board is in charge of itself, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, I would open that up again if you would like to kind of end that.
Although,
Because we haven't done the final vote yet.
I was just going to say, we did vote and it didn't pass, and technically we have a policy, but it's not the formal vote, it's like the middle vote, so it's kind of gray. But we do have a policy that says that once the board votes on something, it can't re-vote on the same thing.
That's why I
But
brought it up. Community promise. Tell me about that, if you can, or somebody.
Community Promise is the Medco program that, and I'm going to mess it up, but it's basically it's their career assessment and youth kind of liaison tool that connects career and college readiness and more the career side, preparing for that with like the businesses. And they have Community Promise is they have an assessment that kids can take, and then they've worked with both Marion Independent and the Linn-Mar High School counselors to create programs of study that align with career pathways. So when you take your career assessment as a student, let's say it comes out as health sciences, like you're really geared towards that. There would be a program of study that would say, these are the classes, in addition to your high school graduation requirements, these are the classes that Linn-Mar offers that would help you explore a career in health sciences. And so you could look at that as a student when you're creating your four-year plan, and you could say, well, my assessment said this, and I do kind of agree with it, so I'm going to take some of these classes that are listed in this program of study. So Community Promise kind of does all of that, and it's through Medco, so it connects with the business community and brings in that perspective to that meeting, that what the businesses are expecting of our graduates. And if they were going to hire someone, what credentials would that person need? What experience would that person need? And then that can be filtered down into the high school perspective as well in those programs of study of, in addition to taking these classes as a high school student, you could also look at these extracurricular activities. You might want to do a job shadow in this way. You might want to do an internship with this kind of business. So that's Community Promise. There's also a grant in there that helps with student experience and something. But it's a pretty cool program. It's very unique, what Medco has put together. And I think our position, I've never served on it, this is just all the knowledge I randomly have about it, is we sit on like the Community Promise. It's either like an advisory group or an advisory board or something like that, and kind of listen.
Because I think they always tend to have that session the week of the school board convention too. I think they just had a little meeting this last week on it, Medco, because I'd like to go on, but it always falls on the same week as the convention. So.
I know they meet a couple times a year, but Sondra's been our representative, and she goes to all the Medco meetings right now. Well, did until like an hour ago.
Okay, anybody want to serve on that?
You're not in any committees yet. Is that something that you're interested in doing?
Okay, I'll volunteer. Want to do it?
Yeah, that's fine. I've done it before. I can do it again.
Appreciate it, Rachel. Thank you. Somebody make that motion quick.
Motion for Rachel to be on the Community Promise Committee.
Second.
Motion got a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So now we have to have a motion to approve all of the names that we had on there. Do you want me to read those off?
I wrote it down. I can make the motion if you want. Okay. I motion to approve board representatives to serve on the various board required and district committee advisories as discussed, which would include Barry, Melissa, and Rachel on policy, Britt, Barry, and Justin on finance audit, Katie and Justin on CTE, Rachel, Britt, and Katie on SIAC, Katie on DEI, Britt and Melissa on venture, Barry on Linn County Conference Board, not conservation. Legislative liaison, Britt and Melissa. Linn-Mar High School School Counselor Advisory, Katie, and Community Promise, Rachel.
Second.
Britt, second by Melissa. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we need to review the operations manual, and that's in Exhibit 309.1.
Given that we don't have copies and it's like this isn't something that has to be approved tonight, I would actually make a motion to table this until the December meeting and just ask everyone to review that operations manual between now and then and come with and send any changes, suggestions, et cetera, to leadership. But I'm happy to discuss it now if everyone wants to stay.
We have a motion to table it, and we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Appreciate your time, appreciate your effort. Just to make a couple comments, it's been an interesting 2-3 months, and I really appreciate the group, the volunteer ladies that are still here. I really appreciate the whole board. Looking forward to working together. I think I'll use a phrase my wife always uses to our kids when they were younger. You know, I still love you all, but we're not going to like each other some days, and we have to work through that process. So hopefully we can get to a consensus and we can keep moving forward. So look forward to it.
Make a motion to adjourn at 7:42 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Britt, second by Melissa. 7:42. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.